Right, when you are looking to solve these types of equations, oftentimes it can have multiple solutions. It's either going to be 1, 0, or 2 when you're looking at solving absolute value equations. And here's the steps that you'll use to solve these. Anytime you're solving an absolute value equation, what you have to take into consideration is if you took the absolute value of what value or what quantity could this expression 4x plus 2 be so that the absolute value of that is equal to 18. What two numbers can be fit into this absolute value symbol so that when you take the absolute value of them you get 18 or something? Well, so, but what number, disregard what this looks like. Disregard the expression. What values could I put inside this absolute value so that this would be true? Yeah. So either negative 18 or 18, right? There's two possibilities. The absolute value of negative 18 is 18. The absolute value of 18 is 18. So there's two possibilities here. You have to take into consideration both those possibilities. And the way that you do that is you'll isolate your absolute value expression. Okay, so what that means is if there's anything added or subtracted on the left side, you'd move that over. If there's anything being multiplied or divided out front, you would move that over as well. You're going to isolate your absolute value expression first. You guys are... Okay, once your absolute value expression is isolated, what you're then going to do is you're going to split it into two equations. On both sides, you're going to start with whatever is given inside the absolute value expression. So here, the 4x plus 2 is written inside the absolute values. You're going to start with that on the left side in both parts that you split. However, on one side, you're going to copy exactly what you have, so the 18 stays. On the other side, you're going to take the opposite of whatever you have. So the opposite of 18 is negative 18. Now notice I put the negative on the left and the positive on the right. It's probably easiest to do it that way. And that way you don't have to manipulate the inequality symbols at the end. Okay, and now you can look to solve each of these equations separately. So when we solve this, we can isolate our variable expression. So 4x is equal to negative 20 by subtracting 2 from both sides, and then completely isolate your variable by dividing by 4. So one possible solution is x equals negative 5. And then the other possible solution, we solve the equation on the other part that we split away. So here we would subtract 2 once again, leaving a 16, divide by 4 once again, and we get x is equal to 4. So here are our two solutions. Once you split the equation, you're going to solve each individually. And then after you solve, you're going to check your solutions just to make sure they work. So when you plug this back in, 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. Negative 20 plus 2 gives you negative 18. Is it true that the absolute value of negative 18 is equal to 18? Yeah, so that one checks. Test of 4. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 2 is 18. Is the absolute value of 18 equal to 18? Yeah, so it checks and you get your second solution. Okay. Now, once again, can you use your calculators to verify or solve these? Yeah. So if you're entering this in your calculator, you can go to the solve function. So the F2, the algebra tab, and then you can type in the expression exactly as it appears. So we can take this whole expression just as it appeared and plug that in. Does anybody recall how to find absolute value or designate absolute value in your calculators? Is it the vertical bar? If we were to use the vertical bar and then type in 4x plus 2 is equal to 18, solve for x. It says error. It does not work. Remember, you can't use that vertical bar for absolute values. Okay, but there's another way that you can express absolute value. Anybody recall either where it is or what keystrokes you use? Harrison. ABS parentheses. So you can either type that in. If you guys are using the calculator on your computers, you can even just use the keyboard to type ABS. So like for me, right here, if you are entering that, ABS is on the keyboard, and then parentheses, put the entire expression that's inside the absolute values inside the parentheses, and then when you hit enter, you should get your solution, -5 or a 4, so we see it confirms what we got by hand. Now, if you don't remember that, again, you can alpha lock and type ABS if you're using your handheld calculators. You can also, on here, if you look under this math key, so if you hit second function and then the number key 5, it opens up this new set of tabs. Underneath number, you can go down to find the ABS, which represents absolute value. So you can hit math key, and then number, and then ABS is underneath that. And it would give you the same thing. All right, so I want you to try this problem really quickly. See, the solution is 6 and -3. If we use our calculators, and we type solve the absolute value, write your expression 2x minus 3 plus 2 is equal to 11. Solve for x, close it off, hit enter. So we get our solutions are 6 and -3 is correct. If you're solving this by hand, what you would do is you would isolate your absolute value expression. So 2x minus 3, we would subtract a 2 from both sides, is equal to 9. Once you isolate that, you can move to step 2, which is to split this into 2 equations. Each side will begin with the entire expression that's in the absolute values. On the right side, you'll copy down exactly what you have. On the left side, you'll set it equal to the opposite of what you have. And then you'll solve each equation individually. So here we'll add a 3 to both sides. We get 2x is equal to -6. Divide by 2. -6 divided by 2 is equal to -3. So here's one solution. The other side of the split, once again, we'll add 3 to both sides. Getting 2x is equal to 12. Divide by 2, and x is 6. So you get 6 and -3. And it's a good idea to plug them back in and test them if you have time on that side. Do you think one solution is always going to be positive and one's always going to be negative when you come up with an x? You think that's going to be true all the time? No. It just happens to on these examples. Don't think that it has to. Okay. Do you think 0 can ever be in a solution? Yeah, it's possible. Do you think there's a case where you might just have one solution? Yeah, and that's possible too. Is it possible to have no solutions? As you start to solve this problem, isolating the absolute value expression requires subtracting a 5 from both sides. So you get the absolute value of x minus 8 is equal to -2. So can the absolute value of a number ever equal a negative? No, it can't